Do you ever wonder what you should say or do when you're pulled over by the police? Well, it's a common question a lot of people have, and fear strikes into people, and sometimes people are too quiet, sometimes people say too much. Oftentimes they don't get the result they're looking for. So today we're gonna run through a simulation, and I brought a couple guests in with me, but we'll start with this. I'm retired professional triathlete TJ Tollakson, CEO of Diamond Bikes, and with me I have professional triathlete and world famous cuber Simon Shee, and I also have world renowned triathlete. Oh wait, no, he's not world renowned for that. World renowned defense attorney, specifically in this area right here, Bobby Rehkemper. Bobby is also an Ironman triathlete.
I can do it all.
We're gonna run through a simulation today of Simon being pulled over by the police, and Bobby's gonna mediate for us. So we're gonna get into this simulation and let Bobby take it from here.
Yes, officer.
Do you know why I pulled you over?
Was I going too fast?
That's fine. You can roll with that.
That's fine, all right. Yeah, you were going a little fast, but you also were changing lanes kind of rapidly. Are you in a hurry?
Not really, no.
Okay, where are you driving to?
My house.
Your house, okay, and where were you coming from?
The local bar.
No, no, no.
No.
You don't need to volunteer that.
No, never volunteer that information. All right, there we go. We learned something. Have you had anything to drink?
I have not.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Are you taking any prescription medications?
No.
I see a pill bottle in your cup holder right there. What's that for?
That's not mine. That's my parents.
Can I see that?
Hold up. You don't have to hand over anything. All right? You don't have to admit to anything, certainly anything about your medical conditions, and you certainly don't have to hand anything out of your vehicle.
Okay.
Are you using any recreational drugs?
No, sir.
Okay, you sure about that?
I'm sure.
Well, I'm gonna give you a ticket today for driving too fast. Can I see your license and registration?
There you go.
Good work.
Thank you. I'm gonna need to run this real quick in my car, and I'll be right back. Make sure. It looks like you're the YouTube star, Simon Shee. Can I get an autograph right here on this ticket?
Go ahead and sign the citation, but you might want to know what you're signing.
Take that citation, and you see you have a date to pay by, and that's all we have. You have any questions? Okay, thank you very much. So I'm not a real cop, but I just played a cop in our little simulation here, and while I'm not authorized or speaking on behalf of any law enforcement agency, I did run through this simulation and ask Simon some questions that I've been asked when I've been pulled over by a police officer.
Yes, officer. Is there something wrong?
Have you seen this boy?
And we saw his answers, and we saw Bobby interject with some things. So I asked, where are you coming from? Okay, and you said?
The bar.
The bar, okay?
Admitting to coming from a bar, or my favorite phrase is, I'm just trying to get home, are red flags. What that usually is going to do is open yourself up to additional questions, potentially additional testing that you're not going to want to have to go through, even if you're stone sober. You don't have to volunteer that information.
Right.
So why open yourself up?
Okay, so the better answer, where are you coming from, should be
Downtown, friend's house, wherever you're coming from. I mean, you can be general,
right.
Restaurant, out to dinner, but the bar is an automatic red flag.
Right. Then I asked him if he had been drinking, okay? And the answer you said was?
No.
Okay, now, if he had been drinking, what should he say?
That's the catch-22, because they're usually asking that question because they can already detect an odor coming from you.
Right.
So no is automatically they're gonna call that on you. People will use a couple, a few, 1, 2.
Everybody's wasted.
Bottom line, you don't have to answer that question if you don't want to, if the answer would be incriminating. So it's kind of personal preference, but you can't do really much harm with a couple if that's generally true.
Okay, but you're allowed to say,
Rather not answer.
I'd rather not answer that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Then the cop may ask something like, do you mind stepping out of the vehicle and doing a field sobriety test for me? At which point,
So if they ask you out of the vehicle, you have to get out. You got to comply with that. Field sobriety testing is a completely different story. If anything out by the car, the field sobriety testing, the handheld breath test out by the vehicle, you're not required to do. They can't force you to do it. If it's a situation where you've really either not had anything to drink or 1 or 2, you can take the handheld breathalyzer. There's not a problem.
Couldn't you have just cut him off?
He only had half a beer.
now I asked Simon a question about a pill bottle that I could visibly see in the center console, because that's a realistic thing that could happen, right? It could be, it was your mom's, it could be it's yours, right? I mean, it could be a lot of things, right? So this pill bottle's there, and you said what?
It's not mine.
Right, and then you volunteered.
And then you asked, can I see it? And I actually picked it up and I was gonna hand it to you.
Right, but you also said it was your parents, right? And so you volunteered a little bit of information, and Bobby says,
Anytime they're asking about prescription medications, they're asking about your personal medical history. They're not entitled to that. You don't have to tell them. And especially in a potential OWI investigation standpoint, that is the easiest way for somebody to get an accidental, what I call an accidental OWI or DUI, is prescription medications or other controlled substances that can be in the person's system. Never volunteer it. I don't, even if that's all you're taking is Lexapro, don't volunteer that. That's none of their business.
so you want to try to avoid that at all costs, but you also want to make sure you know your rights. And so
Do you even know the Miranda rights?
I think it sounds something like,
well, the thing, the last thing I asked him about recreational drug use, he said no. Where does that kind of come into play, and what's the ramifications if he admits to that? Does he have to admit to that?
You never have to admit to it,
Okay.
because it would be admission to criminal conduct. You have the Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate yourself. So no is always a good answer. Recreational, especially marijuana nowadays, is another easy way to get that accidental OWI. In Iowa, I want to say there's like 19 states that it's in any amount of a controlled substance in your system. You could use 7 days earlier, and if they have reason to believe that that's in your urine or in your system, even an inactive metabolite, you're not impaired. That still counts as a DUI or operating while intoxicated in Iowa and a bunch of other states as well.
And then if you get asked to take a test and you know that you might be guilty, do you take the test or do you avoid the test?
That's a personal decision. You do have the right to talk to an attorney before you make that decision. Doesn't hurt. You can talk to family members before you make the decision. Everybody's different, right? Some people would be like, listen, I can't have a criminal conviction. Loss of license I can deal with, but a criminal conviction, if that's your primary concern, then it's a polite declination. And they always ask, well, why don't you? I don't want to. I don't have to.
Right. But so if you refuse the test, you refuse a breathalyzer or a drug test, urine, blood, whatever they're asking for, in Iowa, that's an automatic 1 year loss of your license.
Correct.
Okay? And there's a fine with that as well?
Iowa imposes, to get your license reinstated, $200 civil penalty, or if you're an out-of-state driver, you still have to pay that civil penalty for them to release the hold on your Texas license.
Okay.
They'll mess with you out of state as well.
Okay.
And then the criminal case is separate and distinct, where you're looking at minimum jail time, fine of over $1,250 on a first offense.
Wow.
It adds up real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so your advice on either one, it's just, you said it depends, right? It depends on what you want to go. You're at a fork in the road and you just kind of need to look at your own options ahead of you and say which one's more important.
Yep.
Because if I do test positive, then I have a conviction, a criminal conviction against me. If I refuse, it doesn't go down as a criminal conviction. It goes down as a.
They'll charge you. They'll still
Okay.
charge you and say it's the only type of offense where the prosecution is allowed to use your refusal to search, to consent
Okay.
to a search against you in
Wow.
a trial. So they can try to say, well, you didn't take the test because you knew you were going to pee hot. No, I didn't take the test because I didn't want to pee in front of an officer I don't ever know. You know,
Right.
there's a lot of reasons.
Right.
So you still would have to defend it on both sides, but a lot of times people with professional licenses, pilots, attorneys,
Sure.
doctors, athletes,
Right.
rather just opt out and say no thank you because who knows what the test turns up.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You don't want to be stuck with that result because once that happens, then you got to worry about toxicology and going through all those types of defenses as well.
Right. That's great. So this has been great advice. I really appreciate this, Bobby. Simon, did you learn some things?
I learned a lot.
So this is a part of growing up. This is a part of life decisions. Life comes at you fast, so you got to be prepared for this stuff.
Life moves pretty fast.
So thanks for joining in. If you want to check out, Simon's got his Simon She YouTube channel. He's got Simon She 2. Bobby Rehkemper over here, world famous DUI, OWI, DWI, whatever you want to call it, attorney. It's your get out of jail free card right there.
There you go.
It's not free, trust me, it's not free, but it may get you out of jail. So Bobby's got his YouTube channel, which is
GRL Law.
GRL Law. There you have it. That's GRL Law. Bobby's the Rehkemper. He's the R in that. So check out his YouTube channel for more of this information. Hope this has been helpful. Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, you want to see more of it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I've got all kinds of great Ironman tips on training, nutrition, racing, amazing content. I would love for you to join me on this journey. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Check it out every week.